High Point Regional, in my opinion, has world-class care.
There's no question. You know they're going to be there just as they have been before.
High Point Regional has had a major impact on my life. I love it. It's amazing. The best feeling ever. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Jackson is my firstborn child, so giving birth to him changed my life completely. Every plug covered. We had to do that at 5 months when he was in his walker. He's crawling now, so he's all over the place, opening drawers, having drawer locks, things like that. Just chasing him around. One minute I look down and he's not where he was before, and I'm freaking out, but then he's on the other side of me, and I was on top of it. I didn't sleep for the first 4 weeks. He slept, but I didn't. I was constantly checking on him all through the night, making sure he was okay. Absolutely. He's a very precious gift. So October 6th, we were out to eat with my family, just normal weekday night. I do believe it was on a Tuesday night. Just out eating dinner. He was in his car seat. High chair was upside down. He was placed on top of it. And we had actually just got done feeding him a bottle right before we got our food. We hadn't actually had our food yet before it happened. And then it was actually not someone who worked there, but one of the guests that were in the building kind of backed up into him. It was an accident, and she pushed up against the carrier, the top part of it, so it just kind of toppled over. And so when he fell down, car seat, everything went down on top of him. So it was very terrifying. So it was just normal everyday dinner, and then completely unexpected.
I think I like to travel because of, I guess it's a combination of both. I like to take my kids with me. I didn't get to travel when I was younger, so through my job I get to see a lot of stuff around the world, and it's kind of work when I go, so when I do it with them, it's more leisurely, relaxing, and getting to see new sights with them, seeing their faces when they see new sights. That's the thing I enjoy the most. Before the event, I started getting some pain in the center of my chest, and pain in my jaws and in my head and in my collarbones. It was really weird. But the weirdest part was the pain was in my wrists, both of my wrists. I had planned to go to the doctor for it before everything happened, but I just didn't get to. That morning was just any typical morning. I'd gotten up and gotten ready for work, gotten my kids ready for school. We had breakfast, and we sat down to watch some TV. Then before the buses came, one of the spells came on, and I remember thinking, oh, here it goes again, and I really got to do something about this. But that one didn't stop, and it got really intense. And when I finally realized that this might be a heart attack, I was so weak I couldn't even get myself on the gurney. Of course, I got scared. My thoughts were, there's not a lot of time. People say your life flashes before your eyes. Well, no, it didn't mine anyway. It was just really just concentrate, breathe, and oh my God, I could die right now, but hopefully I won't.
Our life is wonderfully active. As a family, we do a lot together. We have young adult children who are busy developing and becoming, starting their careers, finishing college, finding their spouses, getting married. It was an exciting time as Terry and I kind of looked at what it was going to be like to be empty nesters, but at the same time, just enjoying seeing the young women that our children were becoming. It was pretty amazing. I woke up in early September and found a lump myself, and knew that we were going to need to find out exactly what it was. I had reason to believe and hope because I'd had something similar a couple of years before that was nothing. So I went to High Point Regional to have the biopsy performed, and I remember the radiologist saying to me, she said, "There's some things I really like about this." So, my mindset initially went to, it's going to be just like before, and this is no big deal, and we'll just take care of it, and life will move on, and that will be that. That wasn't the case this time. When you get the news, when I got the news that it was cancer, we were both extremely shocked. I remember him grabbing my hand, and I remember us both getting pretty quiet there for a second, and thankfully physicians know they've got to let you do this a little bit, and they let us have a moment, and then started to answer our questions, and there were lots of them, and there would be even more as we found out more and more information. Because I was BRCA1, my surgery options changed, and I agreed that I needed to have the double mastectomy, again for prevention. And the other place that BRCA1 can be really ugly is ovarian cancer. That's one of its favorite places to go. And so I agreed to do the double mastectomy and the hysterectomy. I'm so grateful for the physicians and the staff that questioned it at first, because it was so minor and so minute, and they weren't really sure. The first call that I got was, we're not convinced that it's cancer, but we want to be convinced. And so they sent my tissue elsewhere just to make sure, and came back, and it was the beginnings of ovarian cancer. I'm convinced that breast cancer saved my life. Had I not had it, had I not had the genetic testing, had I not known that I needed to have additional surgeries, ovarian cancer is not a fair player. It's a silent killer. By the time I knew, it may have been too late, and I got to catch it early. I got to find out early and in time to be able to do something drastic and able to stop it in its tracks. The team of physicians and nurses that were involved with my care continued to grow as my diagnosis changed and grew. At the point that I found out that I had ovarian cancer as well, Dr. Reish, who had been my oncologist through the breast cancer, was still involved, thankfully. But they also brought in Dr. Miller, who we have access to as a community of High Point as a result of UNC being part now of High Point Regional. I can't imagine not having Hayworth Cancer Center at my disposal. I would not have stayed local had it not been for that facility and the people within it.
Well, immediately when I'm seeing him laying there with his face, in the concrete, basically, he wasn't crying at the time, so, my worst case was like, oh my goodness, is my baby even alive right now? And I picked him up, I took him outside to kind of calm him down, to calm myself down. I immediately called High Point Pediatrics and got the after hours number, just trying to do precautionary, what do I need to do? My instinct was take him to the emergency room, which I was going to do regardless of what they told me. While we're in the emergency room, they're checking all of his vitals and everything. The doctor recommended we do a CT scan, put on the lead suits and everything, and I laid down there with him, and he just laid on my chest. Like I said, he was a champion. He went through it very well. He didn't give him any fuss. He stayed very still, and they come back in, and they tell me that he has a 4-centimeter crack in his skull. Good news was they were treating it like a broken bone. It would heal 4 to 6 weeks. Dr. Poth was there from the time we were admitted to the pediatric unit till the time we left. I often wonder if he even slept, ever, because he was in and out checking on Jackson so much. I mean, every few hours, honestly. And I thought to myself, wow, he's doing something really great. He doesn't even have time to sleep. He's here so much.
I live about maybe 5 miles, 6 miles from High Point Regional. And they asked me if that's the hospital I wanted to go to, and I said yes. When I got there, they were moving really fast. They got me through the emergency room, and they were wheeling me down the hall. And I remember the nurses being around and asking me if I was comfortable, making sure I was okay. But they kept asking me the pain intensity, and they were kind of explaining everything they were doing. We're going to strap your hand down so you don't move. We're going to try to go through your wrist. I'm watching the whole thing to my left on the screen. Dr. Tyson's on my right hand, and he's explaining to me where he is, and he says, there's the blockage, and I'm going to vacuum it out now. And when he vacuumed it, I could see the ink just spider veining across the screen where it wasn't before, and the relief was, oh, this is over now. This is great. The heart attack started at 6:30 in the morning. I was in recovery 8:30 or 9. Well, without the Carolina Regional Heart Center being where it was, I wouldn't be here today for sure.
High Point Regional is a building. It's not about the building. It's about the people within the building.
I would say to Dr. Tyson and his staff, thank you very much.
From the moment we walked in, we were theirs. Needless to say, High Point Regional Hospital has been a major part of my life.
One of the first things I said after I was diagnosed is, I don't want to be a statistic. It was just a silly thing to even think, but it was one of the first thoughts in my brain. And what High Point Regional showed me, and I should have known, was that I'm not. They were there for Leanne Venable. They were there for my entire family. My daughters had a 50-50 chance of being BRCA1, and one of them is. And it says to me amazing things, that while I trusted my own health and well-being to High Point Regional, I trust hers too.